All right, so here is your August 2025 real estate market update. We're going to go over all the latest stats for the cities of Temecula, Murrieta, and Menifee, California. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hey guys, hey again, my name is Justin Short. I'm a realtor and team leader with the Short Real Estate team here at Keller Williams in Temecula, and this is our monthly staple video. This is our real estate market update. So we're going to go over all the latest stats for the cities of Temecula, Murrieta, Menifee, California, and then we're going to compare today's stats versus a year ago, and then I'll give you, my opinion on the market, kind of what we are, really not so much my opinion, but just kind of what we are experiencing as real estate agents, with our clients, and then what's going on, a little more kind of boots on the ground info. So cool. But before we get into all the information, do me a favor. If you are liking real estate videos like this that are all local, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Obviously it helps me, it helps my channel as we try to continue to grow it. And we have new videos that we put out each and every week. And then if you guys have any real estate questions, you can feel free to reach out anytime. So you're gonna see my information either down below the video or at the end. You can feel free, you can call, you can text, you can email me. Happy to answer any questions you may have, help point you in the right direction. Or of course, if I can help you out with your search, I'd love to do that. That's how I earn a living. So I'd love to be a resource for you and love the opportunity to help you. But if not, hopefully the information is good and hopefully it helps you out. Cool. All right, so we're gonna get into all the latest stats. We're gonna keep this really the same format as we've done the last year or so, but we are gonna start with the total number of new listings, and we're gonna compare last year's stats. So this will be August 2024 versus the last 30 days here in 2025. So I'll start with the city of Temecula. So the total number of new listings, city of Temecula, a year ago we saw a total of 171 new listings pop up on the market, and then this year over the last 30 days we've seen a total of 172. So basically there's one more new house coming on the market this year versus last year. More or less it's exactly the same year over year as far as the new inventory that's coming. City of Murrieta, we actually saw a few less listings coming on the market. So a year ago we total of 196 new listings. This year we're at a total of 162. So that's a pretty good decrease. That's what, 34 less homes this year compared to last year. That's a 17% difference. That's pretty significant as far as new inventory coming. And then Menifee we saw again really exactly the same. Well, yeah, to the 100% exactly the same. So last year in Menifee there was a total of 191 new listings, and then this year it is a total of 191 as well. So no change, same amount of new listings coming up on the market this year as opposed to last year. All right, so the next stat we're going to talk about is the total number of active and available listings. And so this is basically like, hey, if I'm a home buyer and I want to buy a home in a given city, let's say Temecula, how many homes are there out there to choose from? So regardless of, size or square footage or price point, just how much inventory is out there. And I think this is a real interesting stat because, when we just looked, the last stat we went over as far as new inventory, that's new, fresh coming on the market, it's really the exact same year over year. So that means if our inventory is going up, which it is, so I guess, spoiler alert, right? But as inventory goes up and more homes are sitting, and the active inventory is increasing, that means there's homes that have been listed over the last several months that aren't selling, and they're sitting because new inventory is the same, but total is much larger, and that's just really an active reflection of the slowdown that we're seeing in the real estate market right now. Cool. We'll get into the stats. So city of Temecula, a year ago, if you wanted to go out and buy a home, there was a total of 348 available homes for sale. This year, we are now up to 543 available homes for sale. So that's a big increase. That's a 56% increase in inventory. I mean, just in pure numbers, that's almost 200 more homes available today than there was a year ago. That's a huge difference. City of Murrieta, a year ago, there's a total of 394. This year, we're up to a total of 490. So that's a 24% increase. Again, just about 100 new homes this year compared to a year ago. And then City of Menifee, last year, there's a total of 377. And this year, a total of 503. Again, 33% increase. the 125 homes or so, 130 homes, almost 130 homes, more increase, year over year. So that's pretty significant, really across the board. That's a big jump in inventory, especially when it's not like we're being flooded with new inventory. It's just homes that have been listed for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months that aren't selling. And really, this is really reflective. This is what I'm seeing as a real estate agent on a daily basis, with my clients. As we put new homes on the market, if they are not priced well and sometimes even a little below market value, and if they are not, move-in ready and squeaky clean and really have something truly compelling about them, they're really not selling right now. There's a lot of competition out there. I mean, you could see, in the city of Temecula, there's over 500 homes for sale. There's a lot of competition. And as the market has slowed down, as his inventory starts to stack up, you really have to be able to stand out with your home in order to get the attention. Or if not, you end up at a point where we're doing price reductions. So we're seeing a lot of price reductions across the board. That is something we've seen more and more over the last, we saw them over the last 2 years, yes, over the last 1 year, but even more over the last 60, 90 days, and in the last 30 days, even more, in the last couple weeks, even more. So as the market continues to slow, we're seeing more price drops, price drops. If you've been watching any homes that are out there, you've probably seen a lot of that. And really, it feels like there's actually some really good deals out there for buyers, as opposed to what you could have bought, 6 months ago, a year ago. I think there's some really good values that are out there. All right, so the next stat we're going to talk about is your average days on market. So this is just, hey, in a given city, how long is the average home taken to sell, right? And so if an average home is taking longer, if it's taking months and months to sell, that's going to be more of a buyer's market, right? Where homes are slower and slower. And then a seller's market is going to be more fast-paced, and homes are selling quicker and quicker. They're selling in 2, 3 days or a week, or what have you. So in Temecula, a year ago, the average home was selling in about 24 days. This year, we are now at actually up to 41 days. So it's a pretty good increase. I mean, percentage-wise, that's a 71% jump. But in reality, I mean, that's still less than a month and a half is the average home taken to sell. So that is not terrible. And I personally, looking at the other, the inventory, I thought I would see a lot worse stat there. So City Murrieta and Menifee are kind of similar trend lines. So a year ago in Murrieta, the average home was taking 30 days to sell. This year we are at 39 days. So 9 days longer. That's a 30% increase, but still, less than 40 days, less than 45, less than 40 days to sell. City of Menifee, really same stat. A year ago, the average home was selling in 30 days. We are now today at 39 days. Again, another 30% increase. So it's kind of interesting, that I thought we'd, with the inventory stacking up, we'd start seeing this jump up to 60, 70, 80, 90 days on market. We're not seeing that. Keep in mind, these homes, like these are days on market average for sold homes, right? So that means the homes that are actually selling are selling relatively quickly, 30, 45 days. But it's now been 2 or 3 months now of this slowing market, and this days on market really hasn't changed too much. So the average homes are still selling relatively quickly, but if you're overpriced, you're going to sit there, and you're going to sit there for months and months and months. So pricing is definitely key. All right, so the last stat we're going to talk about is your total sales price, so average sales price for each city. And this is obviously the one that everyone's going to care about the most, right? Is, what's my house worth, or, what's going on in the market? Our home price is tanking, what is happening? And really, we are not seeing a really big significant change. Actually, one of the cities we're seeing average price point is actually increased over the last year. In general, as a real estate agent, it feels like we are seeing some more decreases, more price cuts. I think home values are trending down, a few percent, but it doesn't feel like it's this big, massive, crash by any means. At least today, in August 2025. So in Temecula, a year ago, so 2024, the average home was selling for $871,000. In Temecula this year, in August, they are now selling for $911,000. So that actually shows a 5% increase. Again, that's I think I probably mention this every month, but I don't think home prices increased in Temecula 5% year over year. I don't think people have gained 30, 40 grand in equity. That's probably not accurate, right? A lot of times something like this, we start seeing some outliers, a few more high-end, big ticket price points that are selling, that are kind of swaying the difference, or maybe a few less low-end homes that are kind of swaying that average. But average price point in Temecula has gone up year over year. City Murrieta, a year ago the average home was selling for $762,000, and this year we are now at $730,000. So that's a $32,000 decrease. That is a 4% drop. This to me, this is kind of more what I feel, as an agent, more flat line, down 2%, down 3%, somewhere in that range, depending on the house. City of Menifee, we saw another decrease. So the average sales price a year ago was just under $600,000. It's at $598,000. This year we were down to $568,000. Again, about 30%, $30,000 decrease. It's a 5% drop. Again, that's kind of more what I'm feeling on a day-to-day basis. As the market continues to change, it feels it's a sluggish real estate market right now. Homes are selling. It's not like it's this big crash, anything like that. But there are definitely some better deals out there, and a lot of homes that are sitting. And I think a lot of buyers that are on the fence, kind of with some uncertainty about what's going on. I do think as we see some, maybe eventually, some help in interest rates get a little more affordable. I think that's going to get a lot of people off the fence and want to buy. But until then, it's going to be an interesting market to kind of see what happens, where home prices go, if things continue to slow, or if people start feeling like, hey, these are some better bargains and I want to go ahead and move forward. So, but I'll keep you posted with the stats. So feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions. You can call, you can text, you can email me, and hopefully talk to you soon. Thanks.